So Lee Anderson has now officially joined the Reform Party. It's clear that this is just a last-ditch attempt at saving his political career. He knows if he gets voted out with the Tories, then he's going to lose his GB News presenting gig. And if he's not relevant, people won't be interested in him. His speech is a rabble of nonsense, to be honest with you. But he does let slip that the only reason why he's done it is because his mum's told him to. It does get pretty cringy watching the interview, I must admit. But I think Beth Rigby had the best question, which clearly annoyed him because he didn't want to answer it. And he still gets annoyed at people sniggling at him. Here, have a watch.
Over the last year or so, I've had to do a lot of soul searching on my political journey. And it was laughing. And I don't expect much in politics other than to be able to speak my mind. Is that you, Harry, laughing? Speak on behalf of my friends, family and my constituents. Now, I might not know a lot of these long words some of the people use in Parliament, but I know a few short ones. But unfortunately, this sometimes leads me to be labelled as controversial. I feel that we are slowly giving our country away. We are giving away our way of life. We are allowing people to erase our history. We are giving up our streets to a minority of people who literally hate our way of life. I made some remarks a few weeks back about the London Mayor, for which I was stripped of the whip from the Conservative Party. And let me be clear right now, on this stage, I will not apologise. It is no secret that I've been talking to my friends in Reform for a while, and Reform UK has offered me the chance to speak out in Parliament on behalf of millions of people up and down the country, my constituents and some of my donors. Constituents like my mum and dad, who told me they could not vote for me unless I joined Reform UK. My parents are both nearly 80, and they get it, and I must not let them down.
Chris Hope from GB News. Lee Anderson, on the 2nd of January, you said reform is not the answer. It leaves the door open for Sir Keir Starmer. What has changed in 10 weeks, and how can voters trust you at the election when you so publicly betrayed the Tories?
Well, over the last 10 weeks, we've seen, well, one big thing changed last week, Chopper, and that was Mr Galloway coming into Parliament, and we have to fight back as a country, and the only party that's offering that fight back, what I can see, is Reform UK. You know, this is a big problem, it's a concern, it's worrying my constituents, people up and down the country, who are worried about people like George Galloway getting into Parliament. We have to fight back, and unfortunately, the Conservative Party and the Labour Party won't fight back. This party will fight back, and that's why I've joined.
And there is another big difference, Chris. On the 3rd of January, I said that we were facing a recession, that you cannot grow the economy with the burdens that I identified them, of the highest taxes, the highest wasteful government spending, nanny state regulations, mass immigration and net zero. A month later, I was proved right. Sadly, the economy's in recession. As I said, for 2 years per person, we are in recession. That's what's changed. There's a massive, massive wake-up call. I hope that helps. Beth, you next.
Thank you, Mr Anderson. You talked there about a lot of soul searching. You were a Labour backer, then you were a Conservative MP, now you're defecting to Reform. What do you say to people that say the problem isn't all these parties, the problem is you, and this is all about attention seeking, and this has been very disloyal to Rishi Sunak, who made you Deputy Party Chair, and also to other colleagues that have backed you very verbally in recent weeks and are probably very upset and angry with you that you're going to only hurt their chances in a general election. What's your answer to them? Thank you.
Country, constituency and then party. Next question, please, Richard.
What, sorry.
No, next question.
What do you say to your colleagues
I've given the answer, Beth.
who feel really let down this morning?
I've given my answer. Next question, please.
Millions of people who trusted the Tories to deliver Brexit, to reduce immigration, they're the people who count, the voters, not the representatives in Parliament. That is the difference. We focus on the concerns of the British people.
OK, let me put... What's your message to Mr Sunak?
We're going to move next.
Then?
We're going down the...
He hasn't answered my question.
Chris Mason, BBC.
Thank you, Chris Mason, BBC News. We've seen in the past, Mr Anderson, defectees from the Conservative Party trigger a by-election. We saw it with Douglas Carswell, we saw it with Mark Reckless joining the predecessor party of UK. Why not do the same right now?
Well, you're talking about Mark Reckless. It'd be pretty reckless of me to suggest a by-election when we could have a general election in May. There's your answer.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Just a few weeks ago, you described Mr. Tice as a pound-shot Nigel Farage, whose reforms answered Diane Abbott. What's made you change your mind? And the question to Mr. Tice, do you agree with what Mr. Anderson said about the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan? Do you stand by those comments and you're happy to share a platform with him?
Look, absolutely, and I think millions of British people endorse the concerns and sentiments of what Lee was saying, which is that we are sick and tired of our streets being taken over by these pro-Hamas, extremist, anti-Semitic people and Islamist extremists. That's the concerns that people want to hear about. And in terms of pence, pounds, I tell you what, maybe if you look after the pence, the pounds look after themselves.
Yeah. And also on that point, Harry, somebody described you as a pound-shop Glen Owen. And I didn't argue with that. What's the point in being there? I have to live with my conscience. My conscience is clear. When I go and see my parents yesterday on Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day, Mother, and they say to me, Lee, you need to join Reform. This country needs saving. We're absolutely fed up with what's happening on the streets of London. We're fed up with what's happening up and down the country. We're just fed up. We need change. If my parents are saying that, then I can sleep well at night.
It's going to be interesting to see the Tories' reaction to this, because I thought he was just getting punished for voting against the Rwanda bill. It seemed like in a few weeks' time, once it all blown over, he'd be allowed to come back into the fold. But now he's burnt that bridge, that's definitely going to be off the table. You can see how it all started in the video that's on the screen now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.